The Oregon Ducks landing the number one class? You bet it can happen. Let's talk about a 5-star from the class of 27 moving to 26. And we have recruiting news for the Gators that's good. Not so good news for the Texas A&M Aggies. And how about them Illini?
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into The Portal, your source for daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal news. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime recruiting analyst and college football writer. Thank you for making The Portal your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com. We're going to talk about the Oregon Ducks surging for the number one class, an elite 5-star defensive lineman who, ironically, could end up in the Ducks class, classing from 27 to 26. And then we've got news on the Gators, Aggies, and Illini. But at the top, Dan Lanning and the Ducks. They're getting it done right now. Whether I'm communicating directly with a recruit face-to-face, DMing with somebody, talking to a 7-on-7 coach, getting recruiting information from other recruiting analysts around the nation, the team that is most commonly mentioned overall would be the Oregon Ducks. And it's been that way since the Under Armour event for the Under Armour All-American game, the practices and all the way through. Oregon has been the most dominant team. Now, that was right before they lost to Ohio State, but even after that game, Oregon on the recruiting trail is red hot. Their class right now is tremendous, maybe the best in the country, depending on which company you want to look at for team recruiting rankings. But most importantly, this is just how I look at it in general. If you want to talk about who's ranked number one in early March, okay, it's fun. It's a neat activity. But the more important dynamic, do you have visits coming in from all over the country? And that's a big yes for Lanning and the Ducks. Big yes. And that's important because follow the visits for the teams that end up at the elite level on National Signing Day. Oregon's getting kids in for unofficial visits, which of course feeds to OVs and eventually commitments and signatures. Next, Oregon is winning with elite players at premium positions. What are those spots? Over the last few years, quarterback, receiver, offensive tackle, like they got Cody Green in this class from Mater Dei, elite player, corner, and pass rushers. Xavier Larise, one of their most recent commitments, out of Melbourne, Florida, of all places. By the way, do not discount Oregon for a recruit. I don't care if that kid is from Connecticut, Texas, Illinois, Southern California. Oregon has a chance. They are very, very well balanced in how they recruit nationally. It's similar to an approach that like Notre Dame and Ohio State have taken for a long time, but Oregon's right there, if not surpassing them in how much they are able to do that. And why is all of this possible? No business plan works without what? An elite level administration, which begins in this case with its CEO, head coach Dan Lanning. If you're going to win big in college football, the head man has to be involved in all the decisions in some way, shape, or form. Sure, delegation is important. Lanning gets involved with these kids one-on-one at the camps and all that stuff. And most importantly, texting, video message calls. There's just a plethora of people that have discussed him when I've had an interview with a recruit. And that's the same thing if you go read somebody, Steve Wiltfong's article or anybody else around the networks. You're going to hear Dan Lanning's name a lot. He deserves massive credit. How does he win with his delegation? Well, here's what I know. Dan Lanning hires good coaches. You got to coach football first. But he also finds guys that understand that today's recruiting is a lot different. Not a little, a lot different than even it was 4 or 5 years ago. Massively. NIL, the transfer portal, I have yet to meet even one coach that likes either one. Zero. You have to find a way to deal with it. There is no liking it. It's a lot more work, and it's a lot more awkward for coaches. Oregon deals with it better than probably just about everybody. Now, it helps to have Phil Knight, arguably the greatest booster in the history of college athletics. He runs Nike. That kind of helps. But at the same time, you still have to win recruiting with relationships. I'm not going to just single out anybody on Oregon staff, but they have 2 or 3 aces minimum. And they have guys that collectively do really well when it comes to the visits on campus. Oregon's on-campus visits have swayed so many kids. Again, it starts with Lanning, but he hires the right people. He's been involved. They've been involved in every form of communication. And then they sealed the deal. They got kids from Texas last year that like the Horns wanted, LSU wanted, the Aggies wanted. They got a kid from Ohio that Ohio State wanted. They're getting players out of really difficult places. So hats off to Lanning and his staff for getting it done. Here's the list of kids, and I'm just using for this adventure the commitment list off 24/7. I don't think the rankings are necessarily important overall, but there's a lot of great players. They have them right now with 5 players ranked in the top 100. That's a pretty darn good list. Starting off, Cody Green, one of my favorite players. I've got him ranked in my top 5 offensive tackles, and deservedly so. They've also got Kendra Harrison, the kid out of Reidsville, North Carolina. He might be the best versatile guy in terms of being a big tight end or defensive end, whatever you want him to be. Really good basketball player. I mean, getting a kid from North Carolina and your Oregon, once again, kind of just shows you how awesome they are at recruiting. Tradarian Ball out of Texas High in Texarkana, Texas. He reminds me a lot of Jeremiah Love in terms of his explosiveness. Yes, that same Jeremiah Love with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He's that explosive, and he also, like Love, likes to jump over guys. They have an elite level of defensive line commitment. They've already got several. I don't know what it is with D-line recruiting in Oregon. Over the last 3 to 4 years, they might be the best school in the country at it. They've got several guys, and Tony Cumberland just being one. They got another big body guy like him. He's from Oregon. That's the exception of the rule. When they can get an elite recruit from the local area, and he's from Eugene, that kind of helps too. But that's the exception and why it's so incredible what Oregon's been able to do, because 85-90% of their recruiting year in and year out is not within their home state. No other school consistently does that west of the Mississippi, and except for maybe Notre Dame, no other school does that really in the country. Next up, just kind of looking at their list, they've got a balance. Larice is listed as a safety by 24/7, but I think he'll end up being a nickel because he's such a good player in coverage. He could even play corner. They've got Tristan Phillips out of Ventura, California. They always hit LA area. They'll get some San Francisco, Stockton, Sacramento kids too. But overall, again, the Ducks recruit so well nationally. Right now, if you had to say, Brian, just pick one school that you think will end up at the end of the cycle being number one, it's Oregon. It's all the reasons I talked about, and here's the final point. Oregon will be good again this season. Lanning has the roster to a point where they're going to win games. Like if they win 8-4, it would be a catastrophe. They've got a good enough roster. They have Dante Moore. It's going to be a third-year player in college. Very, very talented young man. Got to know him quite well at Elite 11 3 years ago. He is the next guy up at Oregon behind center, and their defense has so many good defensive linemen and so many guys that are just fast in the front seven. I know they lost a ton in the secondary, but their schedule kind of is favorable compared to what it could have been for some other schools in comparing to them. I think they're going to win big during the regular season, and that will help catapult Oregon towards the number one class. Right now, if I had to pick, again, I have Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks ending up with the number one class. Right now, just as a reference point, 24/7 has Oregon number 2, but they're trending in the right direction. All the signs are there for the Oregon Ducks. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the national recruiting scene and how it's changed. There's a player from Southern California that is reclassed from 2027 to 2026. And yes, the Oregon Ducks are involved there as well. That is next here on The Portal. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you missed the opening tip-off or want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. I love using FanDuel's live betting feature because it keeps every moment of the game exciting. Whether I'm backing my team for a late game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three, I never feel like I missed my chance. Plus, the app is easy to use. And when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. You win championships at the quarterback position, as we all know. But if you take quarterback away, what spot would you go with as the most important in recruiting, NFL draft, or otherwise? Defensive line. The best players usually take a little longer as defensive linemen even to mature. But when I watched Richard Wesley's film, holy cow, that is not your normal guy at all. He's at Sierra Canyon, prominent program for many, many years. In the Southern California area, LA is always loaded with good players. But this is a kid at 250 who's still carrying his weight well enough that he's still twitchy and a pure edge rusher at 250. Usually when kids get to that point after, their sophomore, it's over. They're going to grow to the point they're inside. And maybe he still does, but I think there's a chance he's a 275-pound edge rusher in college. He's a rare player. He's reclassing from 27 to 26. Texas, Texas A&M, Oregon, and SC are some of the schools that were reported on 3, but his offer list is all over the place. And to be honest with you, I don't really think anybody should not offer him. Remember now, in today's era with the NIL and the transfer portal and kids not being happy about their opportunity to play right away, you never know. You might as well offer him now, build a relationship in case he does transfer. But I would imagine this will be a long and drawn out recruitment, not just because it's a situation with Richard Wesley being elite and a D lineman. He's late to the recruiting game to sign this year because he's going up a class. This will be a very unique scenario. Oregon, as I noted in the first part of this show, has already built a good relationship. They recruit D linemen as much, if not more, than any other school in the country. Here's the ironic part of this. It's not surprising. Dan Lanning was at Alabama and Georgia. We know who's coached there, and anytime you're under the great one, Nick Saban, trenches are going to be a big part of how you work your game plans and your recruiting board. Who did he lose to the University of Georgia? Well, of course, that's Kirby Smart. They've recruited defensive linemen really well. Ask anybody that played the Philadelphia Eagles recently, who had 3 D linemen from that team from a couple of years ago that won the national title. I do believe that Lanning understands that value. So don't walk away from thinking the Ducks can't steal yet another player from Southern California. It's amazing how much Oregon has kicked the butts of the Bruins and the Trojans over the last 10 years down there, just whoever the coach was. But we're seeing a shift because right now, ironically, Oregon and SC might have the 2 best classes, a West Coast revitalization, if you will. But that's going to be a battle. Let's see where Wesley takes trips this spring. What he says right now with him just reclassifying in the last 24 hours makes it a little bit different because there's going to be a lot of phone calls. I bet that young man's phone is blowing up. Is he going to take a visit to a Clemson or Penn State or Notre Dame or a Florida? I have no idea. He probably doesn't know either. But it's rare to find guys that are 6'5", 250. He was only a sophomore when I was watching this film. I'd have taken him last year. The way his film looked, he was borderline five-star player for the 25 class, and he was 27. It's just so rare to see a kid with his bend and his change of direction. I know it's going back a long way, and it may predate some of you listening to the show, but he reminds me of another guy that was from the greater Los Angeles area, Sean Cody, back in the day. He was the guy that kicked off Pete Carroll's run at SC, looked like UCLA or Notre Dame. Pete Carroll gets him to sign with the Trojans. He was an elite pass rusher. He had like 33 sacks his senior year of high school. He was unbelievable. Ended up with the Detroit Lions, was a high draft pick. That's a little bit of what I'm seeing with Richard Wesley because Cody eventually played inside some. He'd move around. I think Wesley could do that as well. and big-time defensive linemen. Again, you could just never have enough of them. Sticking with the theme of big-time players and some guys that can rush the passer, the Florida Gators just got Izayia Williams yesterday, and this is a pass rusher that not enough people talk about. Now, I've been fortunate. Izayia is a kid that I've seen multiple times, Under Armour camp, 5-on-5, and just practices in general. His first step and his length are a couple of things to look at. So if you want to talk about it from a different perspective, length and leverage, I mean, he's got long arms. And he's also a kid that has the ability to have a burst off the snap of the ball. That first step, just like when you run the 40, is critical. Because once you're striding out, you are who you are. Ask any 100-meter runner, 300 hurdles, anything else. It's about the first few steps, getting out of the block. Izayia definitely has that as a football player. Not only does he have burst, he has bend. So B&B and L&L. Burst and bend, got to have the leverage, but you also need the length to have leverage. Izayia Williams has all those things. Tavares, Florida, just north of Orlando. He is a national top 100 kind of recruit. Great guy, 6'2", 215 pounds, and he really loves football. He loves to compete at the camps. I think Florida got a really good football player. We'll see how he ends up being utilized at UF, but I would use him to go after the quarterback. It's a critical position, and it's one that everybody really prioritizes that wins. And to be honest with you, I don't think that many schools would argue with taking, if you're going to over-recruit a position, that's the one you want to do it because you got to rotate guys. With that stated, the Aggies, sticking in the Southeastern Conference, they lost a recruit. Now, this is interesting to me. Young man committed last June, and I don't know Markel Ford personally, but he's out of Horn High School in Mesquite. They've had players for decades. It's a good program. But when you're committed in June before your junior year, then you decommit going into your senior year, something's goofy, or you just realize, you know what, my value might be higher. In today's NIL market, it's really hard to know. Again, I do not know him, but the Aggies do a really good job. I was talking about Oregon. Texas A&M's new staff does a tremendous job of scouting the country and recruiting California, Texas, North Carolina, New Jersey. They do a good job all over the place. Ford is a kid that is now decommitted, but we'll see if he ends up back in the fold. He is a good player. When we come back, we're going to talk about Illinois. Their class is really underrated. I think it's just because people, to be honest with you, nobody expected, myself included, that Illinois would have a top-notch class. Right now, Illinois is one of the most dominant recruiting programs, not only in the Big Ten, but in the nation. That's next here on The Portal. The Armada Team of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan in the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, our Locked On College basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart. From top-seeded stars to the unexpected upsets, these guys showcase the strength and sheer power needed to push their team forward. This week's Armada and Clear Cut Team of the Week, it would be the Houston Cougars. Since joining the Big 12 last season, the Cougars have gone a combined 33-4 in conference games, winning the regular season title by multiple games both years. There is no team in college basketball that more capably embodies the rugged Armada than Kelvin Sampson's squad. Houston's tenacious defense leads the nation in fewest points allowed per game for the second straight season. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say, go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what the Houston Cougars have done. It's clear that our Team of the Week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with the confidence, just like you can with the all-new Nissan Armada or any of Nissan's outstanding vehicles. The Nissan Armada, Rogue or Pathfinder, and go with your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. All right. Did you see Illinois has a top 10 class? I saw it early, about a month or so ago, and I'd kind of forgotten about it. To my failure, I had overlooked them. I knew they'd started off good, got some local kids, but then something happened that was really unique. Ohio State just won the national championship. And for decades, and really throughout the history of college football, elite players, for the most part, stay in Ohio. Michigan or Notre Dame or Penn State occasionally gets a kid. There's been a few other exceptions. But Illinois? Well, yeah, Illinois. The Illini are having the kind of class that you just don't expect. And to be honest, I don't know if they've had a class like that in my lifetime where they started off early, busting the chops of the national champs. The player in question is Victor Singleton. He committed February 1st. He's from Central Catholic in Toledo. It's a program that always sends kids to Ohio State or Michigan. Like those two schools pretty much dominate there. And it could be that way for any sport, really. Like Toledo, it's close enough to Michigan. It's not a whole lot different, but it's probably going to be one of those two schools. Illinois, arguably the top corner in Ohio, one of the top corners in the nation, picking the Illini over the Buckeyes. So that caught my attention. But what really has caught my attention is just going through the list and starting to break down a little bit of the film for the Illini. This is a program that is on the rise, not just with how they've overachieved. Brett Bielema, his entire coaching staff, due credit. Brett Bielema and his staff have prepared and beaten teams with more talent. But if you ask Brett, whether on camera or off, I'm sure the answer will be similar to the following question. Would you prefer to have more talent to play with on both sides of the football? Yes. Moving forward, the way Illinois is recruiting, there's no way in the world I don't see them being a better football program than what they already are, because now they're getting kids to visit and even commit, like Victor Singleton, that we didn't really expect. So here are a couple other kids, and this is in no particular order, mind you, that they have committed, and then I'll talk about a couple of kids here in a couple of minutes that they have a chance at. It's a really good year in the state of Illinois, which will eventually help them quite a bit. An underrated guy is Devon Grant. He's an athlete. You could probably play on either side of the ball. He's from DeKalb. That's a kid that's probably going to be your traditional Illinois recruit. Has the length, has the athleticism you're looking for, 6'3", 6'4", something like that, 200 pounds. Does he end up playing defense? Does he end up playing offense? How do they use him? I'll let Brett Bielema, who's obviously an excellent football coach, for what he's done, not only at Wisconsin and Arkansas and now Illinois, but just look at him in totality, because he's rarely going to have against really good teams better talent, but he does pretty well against them. He wanted him. That's good enough for me in general. They got Casey Tomlin, Richland County and Olney. That's just outside Chicago. He's an offensive tackle that I think if he was in the South would be ranked higher, just my opinion. Not many of the people in the recruiting services live anywhere but down south. There's a few exceptions, but not many, because most of the talent is in Dixie. I think Tomlin's really good. I like him quite a bit. And they also have Kenyon Alston, a kid like from Bishop Moore Catholic. I was just at that high school the other day. They have talent in Florida that Illinois is now getting. Their quarterback is from the greater area of Orlando too, because Michael Clayton is from Orlando originally. He's at Seminole High School now, just north of the city. I've known him since he was a freshman. He's committed. They're just doing a really good job. And the thing that's unique about Illinois' class on top of that is they're getting some of these kids nationally. Again, Singleton's out of state. Clayton's out of state. Alston's out of state. So they're not just getting all the kids early from Illinois, maybe like one kid from Indiana or something, maybe an Iowa kid or something like that. No. They're getting kids in state and out of state. And if you look at their opportunities for official visits and you look at the kids that are in the state and kind of put them together, you could see where Illinois finishes conservatively in the top 20. Give you two examples off the top of my head. Kid that I know well, Cameron McHaney, defensive lineman at IMG Academy. Now, he's originally from Michigan, moved to Indianapolis, and now he's at school in IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. I've seen him multiple times compete, gotten to know him very well. Really athletic kid. He's over 300 pounds. If you have defensive linemen, something we've talked about on this show today and comes up quite frequently here on the portal, you can win. You can win big. I don't care what's on the helmet. D linemen win games. Okay, some people just get fascinated. Oh, it's Ohio State or oh, it's Texas. You can win against anybody if you can dominate the trenches. McHaney's one of the guys that's one of the more underrated D linemen in the country. 6'1", 315 pounds. Illinois' got a shot. Probably going to be Illinois or Indiana, barring something unforeseen. But that's one more example. And then if you want to look around at the opportunity for them to go in-state, there are several other possibilities beyond the couple here I'm going to mention. But It would be great for Illinois to get a dominant offensive skill guy, right? Max Sutter. He's one of the best tight ends in the country. And everybody's got their opinion on who's the best each year. I think this kid's conservatively top 10 nationally as a tight end. I'd probably put him top 5. And he's playing in Northern Illinois against pretty good competition. He's got the length and he's got the ability as a pass catcher to be that versatile player that, quite honestly, Illinois doesn't usually have. They're going to get an OB, but schools like Penn State and Alabama and many others are after him as well. And there's also the fact that if you kind of just go through their list of official visits, and it's really impressive, once again, there's something that I didn't expect looking at this. I'd forgotten just how good Nasir Rankin is. If they can get him, it kind of goes along with Sutter. This is the rare playmaker as a receiver that comes out of Illinois. Illinois doesn't produce a ton of elite receivers. Nasir Rankin is that guy. He's out of Morgan Park. If you punt it to him, if he catches a screen and one guy misses a fit, or even if they're in the right position, he'll juke them. He can score. Illinois' got a really good shot at him. He's probably as good, if not better, than any other player in Illinois. I would rank him number 1 personally. Don't be surprised if Illinois gets him. This is a weird year for football with all the transition, the House settlement, and everything else. So who knows how it's going to finish. But right now, Illinois has a top 10 class. And frankly, I think it's kind of refreshing. Illinois has earned it, with their coaching staff doing a great job. Again, hats off to Brett Bielema and everybody on the Illini staff. Back office too. But you just don't see this very often. Illinois has a really good class now, and there's still several players in state where it's obviously easier for Illinois to win battles that are on the board. If Illinois finishes in the top 20, I wouldn't be surprised. Top 15 is not out of the question. They're going to have a good team again this year. Winning this fall will help the Illinois Fighting Illini too. That matters. Illinois football is going to be good for a very long time. As long as Bielema is there, as long as they're motivated, and they keep pushing and grinding on the trail, why not Illinois? To Big State University in the Big Ten. They're making the money. They've got NIL opportunities there, and their coaching staff has done a very, very good job. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. We are here for you for all your recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal news. I love doing it. We have multiple shows almost every day. And if you're really interested in recruiting, go check out the portal on YouTube and check out the shorts page. There are more videos and you can shake a stick at. And I'm going to be going to more 7-on-7s, more Under Armour tournaments. Anything that you can imagine for 40-yard dash, 7-on-7 plays, one-handed catches, whatever it is, the YouTube Shorts page is an easy way for you to do it. If you want to find the YouTube page and you're listening right now, just use the @ symbol, the Portal Podcast, just put it all together, type it into Google, it'll pull it up. It's a lot of fun. I go through them sometimes myself because I forget about kids sometimes, and then I bring them back up on the show. Waterway knows the Under Armour camps. Shout out to all the people with that have helped me a lot with this. Going to be at another one this upcoming weekend in New Orleans. So going to have a lot more shorts coming up there as well. So please like and subscribe here on the portal. We appreciate you stopping in. Everybody have a good one.